Beautiful, beautiful. Give some love to this band, these musicians. Oh, we are just so blessed. And I will walk with you, Reverend Soni.
Will you?
I will walk with you. And guess where we are walking?
Where are we walking?
We're walking on the path less traveled.
Oh.
As we step into the unknown, because it is a new month. It's April. It's springtime, y'all. Woohoo!
Oh, my goodness. I'm so glad to see the beautiful, amazing springtime, the flowers and the trees. And
we really live in like one of the most beautiful places in spring.
Really?
I'm like,
for real.
So blessed. Yes.
For real. I'm just saying.
Yes.
Well, you know, today millions of Christians are celebrating the holiday of Easter.
That's right.
And the Jewish community is celebrating the last day of Passover. Mm-hmm. And these two holidays, Passover and Easter, generally align in the same week. And the name Easter, in case you didn't know, is likely from Old English after the goddess Eostre, from the Anglo-Saxon paganism, meaning bringer of light. Boy, is that for real.
Yes.
Also near the vernal equinox for pagans and nature lovers, it's a time of fertility and rebirth and equality. Equality meaning one of two moments in a year when the lengths of day and night are equal. So traditionally, these are celebrations of renewal, rebirth, and most importantly, freedom and forgiveness. Easter ordinarily falls sometime after the vernal equinox or the beginning of spring, and for good reason. It's from the frozen hibernation of winter we witness plants and trees and animals springing back to flower, seeding, and pollinating, giving birth and gaining life in this magnificent cycle of fertility. And the same is true for all of us, you know, as we say goodbye to the long, cold nights of winter and we follow the natural energy and rhythm of nature, we can experience a sense of renewal, rebirth, and even resurrection in our own awareness and consciousness. This is a time to ask, what is seeking to be renewed within me? What is seeking to break open into a new possibility in our lives and in the lives of our collective humanity? It's interesting how over a year ago, due to COVID-19, we were called into a longer than usual hibernation, which for many was a time of deep reflection and asking the question, like we do in visioning, what is seeking to emerge within me?
Remember when we thought it was going to be like a month? We thought it was going to be like a month, and now we're like, all right, I guess we really got to go deep.
Yeah, we got to go deep.
For over a year, we have to ask this question. What is seeking to emerge?
You know, and I've been asking it over, what is seeking
what
to...
a deep time.
Oh, my gosh. Christians, you know, also observe the Feast of Freedom and Rebirth in Easter because it is the most important time of the year for followers of Jesus as it honors Him, God, and the Holy Spirit for the resurrection, the third day after His crucifixion. And from 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 3, we read, God has given the material world a new birth into a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus from the dead. But here's the thing. I've been thinking about this all week, you know, which is what normally happens for me. Jesus did not live His life in solitude. He did not do anything alone. He needed followers, believers, and He needed a community. And the truth is, none of us, no one does it alone. I think as we begin to come out of the isolation that we've been forced to adhere to, one thing became very apparent. We need each other.
Yes.
We need community, and family matters more than we ever imagined. You know, the famous artist Norman Rockwell would have needed miles and miles to portray the American family this last year and a half. Like, I was thinking about this. You can imagine some of the titles, right? The family that zooms together. How about generations under one roof?
Oh, yeah.
Grandkids outside my window.
Oh.
The shared office.
The shared office with your cat and your dog.
And the rest of your
kids.
family. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Wow. And beneath the warts and the complexities of all that went wrong, we rediscovered at a deeper level the interdependence of generations and how much we need each other. You know, a Pew Research Center survey last summer found that 52% of the American population between the ages of 18 and 29 were living with parents. That also says a lot about our economy, by the way.
Yeah,
That also says a lot
of
about,
factors in that.
Yeah, like I won't even go into the wages, but yeah. And this is a figure that has been unmatched since the Great Depression.
Wow.
From February to July of 2020, take this in, 2.6 million young adults moved back in with either one or both parents. 2.6 million. That's a lot of shared Netflix accounts.
Yes.
We can combine them now and just pay for one, right?
Save that $8.
Yeah, save it. 8. I think it's more now.
That's true.
This is also what's happening with all of this. It is creating a cultural shift. Perhaps the world, if you think about it, is birthing or resurrecting itself. And think about it. We as a community, Ahava, has said yes to our evolutionary journey. That's why we're here. And we sometimes, I would say most of the time, we take the path less traveled.
Yeah.
Assured, though, through our faith that we will be transformed by it. As we shift and this new vision of the world basically continues to unfold, the path is revealed with each step. Our trust, along with our spiritual practices, guides us along the way. And this is pretty exciting, really, to see what's happening in the world and the changes that are evolving. And, here's the thing. We can continue, because nobody says, okay, now you don't have to do this. We can continue to ask ourselves, what is needed on this new path, on this new journey? What spiritual values and practices are needed to help navigate the path less traveled? And how can we help? And how can we support one another?
Yes. Such an important question on how we be together as a community, right? And I know for me, when I think of this time of year, and nature is such a beautiful example, I think of renewal and new life and new beginnings and kind of emerging from this introspective time of the winter into what we are becoming, reflecting on what is blossoming in our own lives based on those seeds that we planted, and to then consciously choose what new seeds we want to plant for what we want to create in our life. Because each and every moment we are always at choice, and we can always begin again. So this season is such a reminder of beginning again and choosing consciously. We have had an incredible journey this past year, reflecting on what works and what no longer serves us as individuals, as families and communities, as well as the collective consciousness of all of humanity. So much has risen to the surface to be revealed in order to transform and to be healed, so that we can step into a greater expression of this thing called life through our collective consciousness. And we're carving this new path and creating this new trajectory for the evolution of consciousness by forging the new path, that of the one less traveled. And we begin to emerge out of this kind of hibernation, this extended hibernation due to COVID, and it allows us to begin to reimagine this world that we want to live in, and to reimagine what we are creating together as a global family. So today, as Christians are celebrating Easter and the Easter bunny and all these various traditions are awake this morning, we can look at the story of Jesus and the resurrection as a guide for creating anew and forging a new path. Because truly, with the story of the resurrection, that was a new path. I don't think anyone ever done that before.
I'm not. I don't know. I think it's all through history, really.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the pattern of
Right.
evolution, of resurrection is a common theme, which I think is what resonates so much, right?
Right.
Because it's one of those things that we experience often in our life, and we have the opportunity to reemerge, to reimagine our life. I love it. So it's such a hopeful time, I think, in this season as well. And Jesus' life was a powerful example of the path less traveled because he was a radical. He was a revolutionary who dared to go against the grain. He said, and it is said that he said in Matthew 5:17, don't misunderstand. Don't misunderstand why I have come. I do not come to abolish the law of Moses or the writings of the prophets. No, I come to accomplish their purpose. And their purpose revealed through Jesus was this evolutionary leap into the full force of love and the revelation of oneness of God and humanity, which is the foundation of the Jewish faith. So Jesus exemplified that as a reminder of that potential for all of us. And this truth enables us to see clearly the individual soul's eternality and the continuity of our own individual soul and life. And this insight brings the full awareness that truly heaven is within. It's a state of consciousness that is always available and ever present in this eternal now moment. So Jesus taught that this high state of consciousness is accessible to all, to each individual. And this was done, again, through community.
Community.
Yes. Jesus had his group of disciples, and they were needed for this great evolution in consciousness to take place. Everyone played their part. Everyone. And so is true for us. We need one another in order to fulfill our mission.
What's that?
And our mission is to love and be loved. To love and be loved. And we do this through the opportunity of community. This is also demonstrated in nature, this idea that the acorn has all the potential within it to become that great oak tree, but yet it must be planted in the soil. It needs the soil to nurture it. It needs sunlight and it needs water in order to become that great oak tree. Everything comes together as the perfect recipe for growth and for the unfoldment. Although that perfect blueprint is within the acorn, it needs other things to nurture it. And this is the great value of community. And in my opinion, specifically what's unique about spiritual community is that we get to come together from all walks of life and to see our oneness, to love and be loved, to behold the truth in one another. Despite whatever circumstances may be showing us, we witness the wholeness in one another. We see each other as the beloved, and we encourage each other to grow and to become all that we are here to be by knowing this truth and seeing the divine in all.
In all.
In all. So Jesus demonstrated his understanding of the importance of every human being throughout his teachings, because there were no social hierarchies or societal boundaries that he didn't cross, right? He was a great example of this idea of equality and equity, because he was at ease with those that society saw as outcast, and at ease as well with the social elite. He saw no difference and gathered with all of humanity for the love of humanity. For the love of humanity. This
Love of humanity.
We gather together in spiritual community with all walks of life to love and to be loved. And this is how we fulfill our purpose, right? And we celebrate life in the great unfoldment of the pure potentiality expressing in, as, and through all of us. Together, we are forging a new path, a path of oneness, a path of love, a path of equity and wholeness.
And that really is happening right now, isn't it?
It is.
It's being called forth for sure.
Yes.
We are seeing it. We are feeling it. We are witnessing the equality and equity that is being called straight up, straight out right now.
In a very, collective way, right? Not just in our own individual path. So, so I ask you now to take this at home, right? Take it and ask yourself, what is the path less traveled for you? What is that path you're being called to step onto that is perhaps a new way of being, a new consciousness to experience? When I think of the path less traveled, I really think of this path of loving kindness and empathy. And it seems so simple. It seems like everyone would just want to choose that path, of course. That should be the obvious path that is so trampled, yet it really is the path less traveled when you think about it. When you get down to the nitty-gritty in life, when you have those conflicts, when things come up within yourself or with others, are you choosing compassion? Are you choosing love? Are you choosing curiosity? Are you choosing empathy? Or is that defense, those kind of default ways of being, of protecting and ego and, self over collective? So the path less traveled is that of love, of compassion. And we are being called to step forward in a new way. What about this idea of embracing change? Embracing diversity and inclusion. We're being called to move from this kind of me to we consciousness and to forge a new path guided by faith and guided by our values. To diverge from the path well traversed and embark on the path less traveled. So have you embarked on a path less traveled? When is a time in your life that you've perhaps gone against the grain or been that, radical in some way or another?
Like coming to Ahava.
Yes, perhaps going against the, the
standard
family or religion or spiritual practice of your family, or trying something new, or, in the Bible Belt especially, being that kind of spiritual radical. What is that path less traveled that you yearn to take? And then what are the obstacles? What must you clear and let go of and release in your own mind and your own awareness such that you can step forward on this path? And then lastly, I invite you to think about what vision of a new path is calling you. Lao Tzu says, the road you can talk about is not the road you can walk on. And I had to sit with this a minute. Like, what does that mean? The road you can talk about is not the road you can walk on. And one of the things that came to me was that the road you can talk about is one that you've already walked. It's in the past. It's familiar, so you can talk about it. Yet the road that you are walking on is the one that you are forging in this now moment. And it's a new path. Or maybe it just means that you can't walk and talk at the same time, or walk and chew gum at the same time. I don't know. What do you think this means, Reverend Soni? This idea that the road you can talk about is not the road you can walk on.
Well, yeah, it is a lot of thought there.
Yeah.
But, William Bridges said that transition always starts with an ending. Transition always starts with an ending. To become something else, you have to stop being who and what you are now.
Oh, there you go.
To start doing things a new way, you have to end the way you are doing them right now. And to develop a new attitude or outlook, you have to let go of the old. It's about moving from a consciousness of the imprisoned to a consciousness of freedom. Stop walking the same path. You cannot talk about a path you have yet to walk, and that path, for me, perhaps, is from the inside out. And to quote my friend, Rabbi Mark Klein, while resurrection occurs in lore throughout the ancient world, including the Old Testament, all of Christendom rallies around the story of Jesus's resurrection as the demonstration of God's true love for people. One does not have to be a Christian to understand the power of such an ethos. Each religion teaches the message of God's absolute love in a variety of ways. But what is certain is that as human beings with human frailties, we still experience an absolutely unqualified divine love. As Passover winds down, as the Muslim holy day of Sheba-i-Barat, the Hindu holy, and the Buddhist Magha Punja day have just passed, okay, all of this is happening. With the completion of Holy Week, with Easter, we see across the world recommitment to redemption, forgiveness, and a rededication of faith and evolution. So, here's the thing. I pray that Easter weekend blesses all who observe and that the world in its entirety benefits from this past week of a holiness reboot.
I love that. A holy reboot.
Yeah, a holy reboot.
It's a holy reboot.
So here's what I want to leave us with today.
Yes.
Here's what we would like to leave you with today is ask yourself this: what new path will you take? What new path will I take with my holy reboot?
Good question.
Good question.
Yes.
Shall we go into prayer?
Let's do it.
Will y'all take a deep breath with me? Breathing in, knowing that as we breathe in and breathe out, it is simply the beloved breathing itself. As each and every person within the sound of my voice, as I drop down into that place of knowingness, the wisdom of the heart, that place where I know that only Spirit exists. It is from that place that I declare and know that and recognize that there is only one power and one presence. And I know this power and presence as love. I know it as ever evolving. I know it as that which is continually creating out of itself only what is like itself. I know this power and this presence not only as love, but I know it as abundance and prosperity. I know it as oneness. I know it as grace, power, as life eternal, as energy flowing in, through, and as me in this moment. I know this power and presence that lives within me as the power and presence that lives within each and every person. As our community, as this place we call Ahava Center for Spiritual Living. this sanctuary open and receiving all. And so it is from this place of knowingness that I lie upon the altar of faith. I lie upon the altar of hope. I lie upon the altar of oneness and love. And speak this word for our community, knowing that the path less traveled, the road not yet taken, is being called in this moment right here and right now. And for each path, for each road, it may not be the same for each and every individual, but it is still opening up, and it is still inviting that evolution of consciousness, that heaven within, and also that heaven without. I know this beautiful and amazing truth is pulsating in this moment in the energy that is in and through and as each and every person in this community and as the community itself. I know that right here and right now, regardless of any condition or experience that may be happening, that I will walk with you. And you will walk with me, and we will walk together as we forge this new path of love, of acceptance, of truth, of equality and equity. I know that we're in this together. And so I declare and know that as we all are steeped in the truth of this prayer, that all is in divine order, and therefore it is unfolding. Everything is unfolding and being called forth exactly as it is supposed to be. And so I allow this to enrich my life. I accept it. I let it wash all over, in and through, and as me, as the living expression of the one light and the one life. As I pass my prayer to Reverend Rainbow.
And I take a deep breath, breathing in the energy of acceptance, of fulfillment. So grateful for the fulfillment of this word. So grateful to know that in this moment, there is a new beginning, a new path that I am forging as I remain open to that vision unfolding before me. Each step, every moment, allowing this vision to pull me forward on the path less traveled. Acknowledging love as the guiding force in each and every moment. I simply accept this word as done and complete in the mind of God. With great love and gratitude and acceptance, I release it into the action of the law, knowing it is done, knowing it is complete. I trust, I let go. And so it is.
So it is.